Hi, it's Sue. Thanks for joining me for the Bible reading today. It is for April 26th, and I'm reading 2 Kings 15 through 17. Verse 1. In the 27th year of Jeroboam, king of Israel, Azariah, son of Amaziah, king of Judah, began to reign. He reigned 16 years. Bear with me a sec. Here we go. He was 16 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 52 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Jechaliah of Jerusalem. He did that which was right in Yahweh's eyes, according to all that his father Amaziah had done. However, the high places were not taken away. The people still sacrificed and burned incense in the high places. Yahweh struck the king so that he was a leper to the day of his death and lived in a separate house. Jotham, the king's son, was over the household, judging the people of the land. Now the rest of the acts of Azariah and all that he did, aren't they written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? Azariah slept with his fathers, and they buried him with his fathers in David's city, and Jotham his son reigned in his place. In the 38th year of Azariah king of Judah, Zechariah son of Jeroboam reigned over Israel and Samaria 6 months. He did that which was evil in Yahweh's sight, as his fathers had done. He didn't depart from the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, with which he made Israel to sin. Shallum the son of Jabesh conspired against him, and struck him before the people, and killed him, and reigned in his place. Now the rest of the acts of Zechariah, behold, they are written in the book of Chronicles of the kings of Israel. This was Yahweh's word that he spoke to Jehu, saying, Your sons to the 4th generation shall sit on the throne of Israel. So it came to pass. Of course it did. God said it would, right? Remember, not one of his precious promises will ever fail. Verse 17. Shallum the son of Jabesh began to reign in the 39th year of Uzziah king of Judah, and he reigned for a month in Samaria. Menahem the son of Gadi went up from Tirzah, came to Samaria, struck Shallum the son of Jabesh in Samaria, killed him, and reigned in his place. Now the rest of the acts of Shallum and his conspiracy which he made, behold, they are written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. Then Menahem attacked Tifsah and all who were in it and its border areas from Tirzah. He attacked it because they didn't open their gates to him, and he ripped open all the women who were with child. In the 39th year of Azariah king of Judah, Menahem the son of Gadi began to reign over Israel for 10 years in Samaria. He did that which was evil in Yahweh's sight. He didn't depart all his days from the sins of Jeroboam son of Nebat, with which he made Israel to sin. Pul, the king of Assyria, came against the land, and Menahem gave Pul 1,000 talents of silver, that his hand might be with him to confirm the kingdom of his hand. Menahem exacted the money from Israel, even from all the mighty men of wealth, from each man 50 shekels of silver, to give to the king of Assyria. So the king of Assyria returned back, and didn't stay there in the land. Now the rest of the acts of Menahem, and all that he did, aren't they written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? Menahem slept with his fathers, and Pekahiah the son reigned in his place. In the 50th year of Azariah king of Judah, Pekahiah the son of Menahem began to reign over Israel and Samaria for 2 years. He did that which was evil in Yahweh's sight. He didn't depart from the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, with which he made Israel to sin. Pekah the son of Remaliah, his captain, conspired against him and attacked him in Samaria, in the fortress of the king's house, with Argob and Ariah, and with him 50 men of the Gileadites. He killed him and reigned in his place. Now the rest of the acts of Pekahiah, and all that he did, behold, they are written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel. In the 52nd year of Azariah king of Judah, Pekah the son of Remaliah began to reign over Israel in Samaria for 20 years. He did that which was evil in Yahweh's sight. He didn't depart from the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, with which he made Israel to sin. In the days of Pekah king of Israel, Tiglath-Pileser king of Assyria came and took Ijon, Abel Beth Makkah, Genoa, Kedesh, Hazor, Gilead, and Galilee, all the land of Naphtali, and he carried them captive to Assyria. Now, I don't know the timeline of some of these things and all these different battles, skirmishes they had, but remember that if you go back and listen, if it's still on my playlist, when we went through the minor prophets, and which we'll be going through them again, of course. But remember that God sent Jonah to Nineveh to call them to repentance. Remember, Jonah didn't want to go, and he got swallowed by a whale and all that, and then he finally went, and they actually repented. Well, Nineveh was the capital of Assyria. I have that geography correct, and I think I do. So they actually did repent, but later on, and they end up attacking Israel, and for good. Like that was the end of it. Like I don't know, and I've wondered for a while, just haven't studied it out. Was that where the lost tribes of Israel, the 10 lost tribes happened? But anyway, I'm just trying to throw a few historical tidbits in there. So Assyria, was a thorn in their side for a long time and finally did um, overcome Israel. And during those years, you'd have to look at the timeline, and I have one. I haven't memorized it, but I've looked at it multiple times over the years. Um, but you can see when the different prophets prophesied and what was going on at that time. And uh, some of the prophets prophesied down to the kingdom of Judah, some of them prophesied to Israel, and some of them to both. And then they also prophesied to, like we saw, one of them went up and spoke to the king of Syria the other day when we were reading. So all this business was going on, and once you kind of, I only have part of my timeline filled in, but the more of that puzzle that you get filled in, the more you can understand what's going on in these regions throughout these years. And it's not easy. It's not easy. You need good scholarly, someone who's already done the studies, because you're not going to extract it through just simple Bible reading. So let me see where I left off here. Okay, so it says, they are written in the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel. In the second year of Pekah, son of Remaliah, king of Israel, Jotham, the son of Uzziah, king of Judah, began to reign. He was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem. His mother name was Jerusha, the daughter of Zadok. He did that which was right in Yahweh's eyes. He did according to all that his father Uzziah had done. However, the high places were not taken away. The people still sacrificed and burnt incense in the high places. He built the upper gate, and you know what that was doing when you're doing these pagan practices, they're opening the door for demonic activity, right? So they're causing trouble here. They're causing themselves to live under the curse, is what they're doing. So it says, however, the high places were not taken away. The people still sacrificed and burnt excuse me, incense in the high places. He built the upper gate of Yahweh's house. Now the rest of the acts of Jotham and all that he did, aren't they written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? In those days Yahweh began to send Rezin, the king of Syria, and Pekah, the son of Remaliah, against Judah. Jotham slept with his fathers and was buried with his fathers in his father David's city, and Ahaz his son reigned in his place. In the 17th year of Pekah, the son of Remaliah, Ahaz the son of Jotham, king of Judah, began to reign. Ahaz was 20 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem. He didn't do that which was right in Yahweh his God's eyes, like David his father, but he walked in the ways of the kings of Israel, yes, and made his son to pass through the fire, according to the abominations of the nations, whom Yahweh cast out from before the children of Israel. So he's stooping even lower. He's giving his child to this, sacrificing it to demons, essentially, is what he's doing to these yeah, it's a whole really sad and despicable scenario what they were doing. And but here it just calls it abominations of the nations, whom Yahweh cast out from before the children of Israel. He sacrificed and burned incense in the high places on the hills and under every green tree. Then Rezin, king of Syria, and Pekah, son of Remaliah, king of Israel, came up to Jerusalem to wage war. They besieged Ahaz, but could not overcome him. At that time, Rezin, king of Syria, recovered Elath to Syria and drove the Jews from Elath, and the Syrians came to Elath and live there to this day. So Ahaz sent messengers to Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, saying, I am your servant and your son. Come up and save me out of the hand of the king of Syria and out of the hand of the king of Israel, who rise up against me. Ahaz took the silver and the gold that was found in Yahweh's house and in the treasures of the king's house, and sent it for a present to the king of Assyria. The king of Assyria listened to him, and the king of Assyria went up against Damascus and took it, and carried its people captive to Kir, and killed Bezin. King Ahaz went to Damascus to meet Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, and saw the altar that was at Damascus. King Ahaz went to Urijah the priest, a drawing of the altar and plans to build it. He sent to him a drawing of the altar and plans to build it. Urijah the priest built an altar according to all that the king Ahaz had sent from Damascus. So Urijah the priest made it for the coming of King Ahaz from Damascus. When the king had come from Damascus, the king saw the altar, and the king came near to the altar and offered on it. He burnt the burnt offering and his meal offering, poured his drink offering, and sprinkled the blood of his peace offerings on the altar, the bronze altar which was set before Yahweh. He brought from the front of the house, from between the altar and Yahweh's house, and put it on the north side of his altar. King Ahaz commanded Urijah the priest, saying, On the great altar, burn the morning burnt offering and the evening meal offering, the king's burnt offering, his meal offering, with the burnt offering of all the people of the land, their meal offering and their drink offerings, and sprinkle on it all the blood of the burnt offering and all the blood of the sacrifice. But the bronze altar will be for me to inquire by. Urijah the priest did so according to all that King Ahaz commanded. King Ahaz cut off the panels of the bases and removed the basin from off of them, and took down the sea from off of the bronze oxen that were under it, and put it on the pavement of stone. He removed the covered way for the Sabbath that they had built in the house and the king's entry outside Yahweh's house because of the king of Assyria. Now the rest of the acts of Ahaz, which he did, aren't they written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah? So, if I understand this correctly, basically he just went in there and rearranged everything to his thinking instead of keeping it the way God said to have it. God is the one that said to put the bronze altar up in the sea, and just to set everything up the way it was. Sorry, I'm kind of stumbling over my words, but the sea was on the bronze oxen because God said to do it that way. And so he just rearranged it and put everything how he wanted, which is so interesting because somebody could go in there, you could have a king go in there, restore everything to the way it's supposed to be, get it all nice, just the way God said, get everything back in order, have all the priests doing what they're supposed to be doing, and the next king can come in and just screw it all up, undo everything. And it's basically what he did. So it says, now the rest of the acts of Ahaz, which he did, aren't they written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah? Ahaz slept with his fathers and was buried with his fathers in David's city, and Hezekiah his son reigned in his place. In the 12th year of Ahaz king of Judah, Hoshea the son of Eliah began to reign in Samaria over Israel for 9 years. He did that which was evil in Yahweh's sight, yet not as the kings of Israel who were before him. Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, came up against him, and Hoshea became his servant and brought him tribute. The king of Assyria found conspiracy in Hoshea, for he had sent messengers to So, king of Egypt, and offered no tribute to the king of Assyria, as he had done year by year. Therefore the king of Assyria seized him and bound him in prison. Then the king of Assyria came up throughout all the land and went up to Samaria and besieged it for 3 years. In the 9th year of Hoshea, king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away to Assyria and placed them in Halah and on the Habat, the river of Kozan, and in the cities of the Medes. It was so because the children of Israel had sinned against Yahweh their God, who brought them up out of the land of Egypt from under the hand of Pharaoh king of Egypt, and had feared other gods, and walked in the statutes of the nations whom Yahweh cast out before the children of Israel, and of the kings of Israel which they made. The children of Israel secretly did things that were not right against Yahweh their God, and they built high places for themselves in all their cities, and from the tower of the watchman to the fortified city. And they set up for themselves pillars and Asherah poles on every high hill and under every green tree. And there they burned incense in all the high places, as the nations whom Yahweh carried away before them did. And they did wicked things to provoke Yahweh to anger. And they served idols, of which Yahweh had said to them, You shall not do this thing. Yet Yahweh testified to Israel and to Judah by every prophet and every seer, saying, Turn from your evil ways and keep my commandments and my statutes according to all the law which I commanded your fathers, and which I sent to you by my servants the prophets. Notwithstanding, they would not listen, but hardened their neck like the neck of their fathers who didn't believe in Yahweh their God. They rejected his statutes and the covenant which he made with their fathers, and the testimonies with which he testified to them. And they followed vanity and became vain, and followed the nations that were around them, concerning whom Yahweh had commanded them that they should not do like them. They abandoned all the commandments of Yahweh their God, and made molten images for themselves, even 2 calves, and made an Asherah, and worshipped all the army of the sky, and served Baal. Who's this army of the sky? Interesting. They caused their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire, used divination and enchantments, and sold themselves to do that which was evil in Yahweh's sight, to provoke him to anger. Therefore Yahweh was very angry with Israel, and removed them out of his sight. There was none left but the tribe of Judah only. Also Judah didn't keep the commandments of Yahweh their God, but walked in the statutes of Israel which they made. Yahweh rejected all the offspring of Israel, afflicted them, and delivered them into the hand of raiders until he had cast them out of his sight. For he tore Israel from David's house, and they made Jeroboam son of Nebat king. And Jeroboam drove Israel from following Yahweh, and made them sin a great sin. The children of Israel walked in all the sins of Jeroboam which he did. They didn't depart from them until Yahweh removed Israel out of his sight, as he said by all his servants the prophets. So Israel was carried away out of their own land to Assyria to this day. You see, there's another promise of God fulfilled, just like he said. Verse 24, the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon, from Kutah, from Ava, from Hamath, and from Sepharvaim, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. And they possessed Samaria and lived in its cities. So it was at the beginning of their dwelling there that they didn't fear Yahweh. Therefore Yahweh sent lions among them, which killed some of them. Therefore they spoke to the king of Assyria, saying, the nations which you have carried away and placed in the cities of Samaria don't know the law of God of the land. See, they believed in these gods that ruled over certain regions. They didn't understand that Yahweh was the God of the universe, the creator of the universe. So it says, therefore, he has sent lions among them, and behold, they kill them, because they don't know the law of the God of the land. Then the king of Assyria commanded, saying, carry there one of the priests whom you brought from there, and let them go and dwell there, and let him teach them the law of the God of the land. So one of the priests whom they had carried away from Samaria came and lived in Bethel, and taught them how they should fear Yahweh. However, every nation made gods of their own, and put them in the houses of the high places which the Samaritans had made, every nation in their cities in which they lived. The men of Babylon made Succoth Benoeth, and the men of Cuth made Nergal, and the men of Hamath made Ashima, and the Avites made Nibhaz and Tartak. So each of these different regions had their own god, which I believe were probably fallen angels that were overseeing these regions and exacting worship for themselves. And it says, and the Sephirites burned their children to the fire to Adramelech and Anamelech, the gods of Sepharvaim. So they feared Yahweh, and also made from among themselves priests of the high places for themselves, who sacrificed for them in the houses of high places. They feared Yahweh, and also served their own gods, and after the ways of the nations from among them whom they had been carried away. To this day they do what they did before. They don't fear Yahweh, and they do not follow the statutes or ordinances or the law or the commandment with which Yahweh commanded the children of Jacob, whom he named Israel, with whom Yahweh had made a covenant, and commanded them, saying, you shall not fear other gods, nor bow yourselves to them, nor serve them, nor sacrifice to them, but you shall fear Yahweh, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt. Why? Because he's trying to protect them. He's telling them, don't do that. Danger, warning, and yet he's the one that brought them up out of slavery. He's taken care of them. He gave them clothes that wouldn't wear out. He gave them, fire by night, cloud by day to shade them, water from a rock, manna, which the Bible calls angels' food. He just constantly took care of them. And that's what it's saying here. He's saying, but you shall fear Yahweh, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt with great power and with an outstretched arm. And you shall bow yourselves to him, and you shall sacrifice to him. The statutes and the ordinances and the law and the commandment which he wrote to you, you shall observe to do forevermore. You shall not fear other gods. You shall not forget the covenant that I have made with you. You shall not fear other gods, but you shall fear Yahweh your God, and he will deliver you out of the hand of all your enemies. He's giving them the game plan here. This is how you need to live. But what's this all about? It's about having a choice, having a free will. God is telling them, look, this is the way you should go, but he's not going to make them, is he? Nope. And so it says, you shall not fear other gods, but you shall fear Yahweh your God, and he will deliver you out of the hand of all your enemies. However, they did not listen, but they did what they did before. So these nations feared Yahweh and also served their engraved images, their children likewise, and their children's children, as their fathers did, so they do to this day. That is the end of today's reading. Feel free to comment if you have, thoughts about the reading today. And I'll see you tomorrow. God bless you.